disc golfers, this is Matt Dollar, and I'm here today with the final round of the Georgia Flying Disc Festival. This was a B tier that I was the tournament director for at North Georgia Canopy Tours in Lula, Georgia. It was definitely a little more than a disc golf tournament though. We had field events and we had a mini golf tournament and a superclass tournament. It was a lot of good stuff happening that weekend. A lot of people camped, and we had a big party Friday night, and some people stayed in the teepees. So we're going to look to do this pretty much every year. So first on the lead card today will be Kevin McCoy, PDGA number Nina 45 Trey, rated under 1,000 these days, but still killing it in the win column. And K-Mac plays a lot of Masters these days too, so whenever he plays Open, he usually kicks our butts. So we'll see if he can do it today. He takes his favorite rock on hole 1, Stinky Pinky, and parks it. So I will be second to tee here. Kevin and I are tied at 9 down, by the way, with the other two players on our lead card at 6 down. So I run this tournament here, and I also run the Georgia Team Invitational at the same venue. My favorite private course in the state. I'm going to go with the Cenis. It's the Cenis SP. And that's a good kick. That's exactly what the TD ordered, especially when he threw no warm-up shots before the round. So that great kick will leave me right by the basket with a chance at the CTP and a birdie to start the day. So we'll check it out here one more time in slow motion. This is the same disc that I threw on hole number 8 during the Vibram Open at Maple Hill that got a hole-in-one and got me on SportsCenter. So it's still in the bag, still doing work.
Oh, the ricochet no stay.
The ricochet no.
And that was 5-time Pro Masters World Champion Brad Hammock saying the ricochet no stay. Brad hasn't played a disc golf tournament in almost half a decade until a month before this tournament, so once one of the most dominant figures in the game, especially in the Masters division, he just kind of went away for a while, but I guess he's bitten by the disc golf bug once again. And it's nice to have him back on the course. He actually played 2 tournaments a month prior to this, and I got to play with him in both those tournaments, so it's nice to have him back. Also on the card we got Dustin Perry, the 2016 Collegiate National Champion out of Augusta, Georgia. So Dustin Perry plays for Team Prodigy, and he's no stranger to battling these guys on the lead card. Dustin throws a P something or another, and it looks like a beautiful shot. Unfortunately, this hole sits on a steep hillside that's surrounded by a couple trees and some roots and a stump, and he just got denied. So Brad takes a stab from just on this side of the bottom of the hill, and now we've got Dustin, who's got about a 25-foot putt, but it is uphill, and if you miss, you get the roll away. That's just a great putt by Dustin, and that'll get him started with a birdie. So everyone else taps in there. Kevin and myself both get birdies, moving on to hole 2, and we are both at 10 under par now. Kevin throws that pink rock once again, and throws a pretty good looking shot. That should give him a nice putt for birdie. And I'm going to go with the Cenis again, but man, I threw a little too much hyzer, and she is overstable. So now we've got Dustin. Dustin also looks to be throwing the same disc he threw on the first hole. It's really not even a similar line, but I can see how both holes you'd like to throw your favorite control mid or putter. So Brad has a very unique pre-shot routine, but it's very effective about setting his body moving in the correct direction. So he's going with some kind of premium plastic Prodigy putter there. Say that 5 times fast. And Dustin's going to pitch up out of the woods. Pretty good shot. We'll get him inside 20. I landed in the same area as round 1, just not quite as close to the basket. And I'm going to have to settle for a par, it looks like. We got Brad with about a 30-foot downhill putt. Fast green, though. Got to be careful on this one. Looks like he's catching a little bit of a roll there. We'll see what he has for the comebacker. But first, K-Mac will knock in this birdie putt. He was forced into a little bit of a straddle, but that's no problem. He already putts a little straddle most of the time. Brad gives a pretty good bid coming back, but just off that rim. Seems like he's having a little trouble finding his touch early in this round. But it is cold, and he hasn't been playing a lot, so I think he'll get going as the round goes on. So Kevin has moved into the lead, solo lead, at 11 under par, but he finds his first sign of trouble. Throws his disc just off the right side of the fairway here. I'm going to go with the Cenis again. All 3 holes here to start. And it skips up there towards the basket. That should be an easy birdie. So Dustin appears to be going with some kind of premium plastic putter also. And he smooths one down there. That is very nice. That should get him a birdie also. Brad's throwing that same putter again. Even on this short shot, he still does his little pre-shot routine. So Kevin is over here in the jungle. He's going to pitch out with that pink rock again. And that should save his par. So Brad's got a birdie putt outside of 20 feet. Just gets a little lazy on that move, and he'll have to settle for par. But Dustin grabs his birdie, and so do I. And Kevin will get his par, and we will move on to hole number 4. One of my favorite par 3s here. And I'm going with the Escape in the fluid plastic. Comes out a little bit low and a little bit left. And that's not going to get you in birdie range on this one. Speaking of low left, Dustin does the same, and he'll have to throw an upshot from his. Kevin, however, pulls out, I'm not sure if that's a wraith or a turn, but it is a beautiful shot. Hammock comes flying off the back of the box, and his is a little high, but it gets through there. Might give him a long look, we'll see. Dustin's got about 100 feet left. And he pulls it a little bit right, but you do want to stay to the right side of the basket here on that upshot, because you can see that slope on the left now, and just makes your comeback putt a little trickier if you go down there. Ooh, I think I must have liked the way that looked for a second, because once it caught that branch, I felt pretty dumb. So Brad's got a weird little stance here. He straddles over that log. After not having enough speed on the last putt, looks like he gave this one a little extra juice. So we've got K-Mac putting for a birdie in the rain. Doesn't even go back for a towel. I love it. He just dries it off with his jacket. Veteran move. And very nice stroke from K-Mac. That'll get him a birdie and get him back atop the leaderboard. Dustin makes good on his up and down for par. And Hammock just casually flicks it in there. And we'll move on to hole number 5. The big par 4 in the field with the OB line straight down the center. So these trees on your right side here that you're seeing, the OB line is just to the left of those. So you're going to see all the players here throw something that they know is going to keep them in bounds on the left. Without the OB line on hole 5 and hole 6, which is coming back towards us, as you can see the players on the right hand side of the fairway there, people just throw it as hard and far as they can on these 2 holes without worrying about accurately landing in the fairway. Dustin throws a very nice controlled drive there, and Brad will be last to tee. We're going to get the full spectrum of Brad's run-up right here. So for all of you people who haven't seen it before, we'll take it down into slow motion. And here he goes. The hop, the skip, and the rip. And that's a nice drive by Brad.
Oh, yeah.
So all 4 players successfully land in the middle of the fairway. Now you got to be careful on the upshot because you have a road short of the green, and then you have a creek just to the left of the basket. Ooh, K-Mac lands, I think, just on the other side of the road and takes a nice little bounce forward. Should give him a long look at birdie, if he's daring enough to go for the putt. Dustin throws a good looking hyzer. Might be a little too far right. We'll have to see when we get over there. There's Brad's little chair. And Brad rips a nice looking hyzer. I don't know if we'll see it come back though. So there's like 3 or 4 of these cedar trees on the other side of the road, right where you enter the green. They're finally getting big enough to catch some shots there. So I threw a pretty terrible thumber there after not warming that thumber up before the round, and I'm gonna have to settle for a jump putt layup to get my par. Kevin is obviously not scared of a little death putt. He bounces it off the rim in there for birdie. Brad gives him a little heckle. And Hammock just picks up the driver that he threw there, I think it was a T-bird, and just chips it in as his putter. So they'll both grab birdies there. And Kevin moves to 13 under par. He's now opened up a 2-stroke lead. And the old Okie hyzer lands right in the middle of the fairway. So now we've got Hammock coming off the back of the tee here. Puts a nice little S shot. As long as that sits down, it should be good. And it's right in the middle of the fairway. So this par 5 here, your first shot when the OB line is in play on the right is really just all about landing in the fairway. You don't have to throw 2 long shots to get to the mouth of the gap that takes you up the hill to the basket. But you just have to stay in bounds and in the fairway. Anything left, you're pretty much not going to get a birdie. So Kevin's going to go another hyzer here. And looks beautiful. It's catching a roll. Might have rolled too far, or it might have rolled perfectly into the gap. We'll see when we get down there. Most of the hyzers that come in here do catch a little bit of a roll when they land on the hillside. Brad places a little bit wider to the right, so he doesn't have to worry about that. So I should have definitely been laying that shot up out into the fairway. I'm not sure why I thought I could go over the trees. Might have been watching that Snappy Cole character do it in round 1. Got me all fired up. So Dustin throws his up shot. It's a little short, but he does catch a roll that might get him into position. You can see the basket up at the top of the hill there. Brad pulls out a driver and fillets that shot. Beautiful shot from the World Champ. That should get him another birdie. Kevin takes out that pink rock. Just gets it on top of the hill. Should give him a short birdie putt. Probably about 15 or 20 feet. And Dustin's got a funny stance, but he does have a shot here. It's a little bit left, but he probably will get a long birdie putt out of that. Really, it's just all about getting up on that top level if you're trying to get your birdie. So I didn't have much to work with there. I was trying to just throw a thumber straight up and down to get through the gap as far as possible. But I did catch an early tree, and it sent me on a little roll. And I figured I might as well throw that thumber right into a tree too. So unless I throw this in, I'm looking at a bogey here. And let me tell you, if you get a bogey on this hole in the open division on the lead card without going out of bounds, you did something wrong, my friend. Dustin has a long birdie putt and throws a nice one in there. So great birdie from Dustin. Kevin's got this 20-foot uphill putt. Pumps it a few times for luck. And chips that Nova in dead center. No surprise there. And Brad will probably just tap in for his birdie, and that will send us on to hole number 7. So hole number 7's in that left pin, and after coming up this hill, K-Mac has extended his lead again. He is at 14 under par, and he throws a nice looking drive there. He thinks it's just a little bit short. I thought it was good. We'll have to wait and see when we get up there. Hammock takes out a driver and throws a nice little hyzer line. It's leaking a little bit to the right. That should give him a long look at birdie. So on this hole, It's less than 400 feet, but you won't see a lot of people throw mid-range on it because of the low ceiling, and you do kind of need to get a skip on this one too. So it kind of forces you into throwing a driver here. Dustin misses early, kind of like Snappy and I did in round 1, and he kicks to the right. Might be a tough save. I decided to club up and go with the defender in this one. Might have come up just a little short left. Probably neighbors with Kevin over there. So Dustin's going to have to throw some kind of sidearm to get himself out of jail here. Looks like he's got a mid-range in his hand. Overstable mid-range, I'd say. Now we've got Kevin over here on the left side. He was a little bit short. Let's see if he can give this one a bid or if he's just going to lay it up. Looks like he's taking his time. Oh, he was definitely going for it and almost made it. Great bid from Kevin. Brad's got some funky footwork going on down here. I assume the lie he's playing is that blue disc, no mini. Gives it a pretty good bid, despite the funky footwork. And I'm got a weird look here. I remember trying to make sure I really gave this one the height to go in. Well, height achieved and surpassed. So Dustin just has this left for par, and he makes a nice stroke there. On the opposite end of that spectrum is the putt that I just made, and it was not a good effort. I just got a little lazy on that one, probably should have thought it through. And that's going to be back-to-back bogeys, and not looking good. But Kevin McCoy is still at 14 under par, and he throws old Stinky Pinky right over to the basket. That should be an easy birdie. Brad follows him up with another good shot, and that should also get him in birdie range. You kind of expect everyone to get hole 8 on the lead card in the Open Division. Dustin throws a little bounce pass down there. Should get him in birdie range. And I'm going to go with a flippy judge. So everyone's up there around the basket. Brad's putting for his first deuce of the round. And he's excited. The Tiger Woods fist pump comes out. First putt he's made of the round. But, you know, it only made one putt in the round. He's been driving pretty well, so it's actually 3 down for the round at this point. So everyone taps in, and we move on to hole number 9. Hole number 9 is 290 feet, playing to the left pin, up on the hill. And not the easiest of holes, but also one you're probably not going to get a bogey on, so. Kevin releases just a little early, and that should be just an up and down for a par there. So this hole is a weird distance. It's kind of right in between driver and mid-range. Hammock's going with an old KC Pro T-Bird there. And it's a little bit high and left. Not going to get through. Those 3 or 4 trees right there really block a lot of shots on this one. Dustin looks like he's going to go with the mid-range, and he is also off to the left. Generally, you're going to see probably half the card deuce this in the open division. I go with a gold line compass. It's not a bad looking shot, but it's probably going to come up just a little short left. So K-Mac just has to chip one around these trees. Got that favorite pink rock in his hand yet again. And that should do. Brad's got about 50 feet uphill. And Dustin's probably got about 50 feet straight on. So it looks like I'll be the only one with a chance left at birdie. And I have to feel those chances slip away. So a bunch of pars on hole number 9. And that's going to take us to the back 9. Hole number 10, one of my favorites. Downhill, 400 feet. And this one is on top of the hill here at North Georgia Canopy Tours, and it is usually really windy up here. Today we're dealing with more rain than wind. I did manage to get a 2 on this one during the 2-disc tournament with Warship. How about that crazy little skip from Brad on the T-pad there? He turns his over just a little too much. And then Dustin's going to let his come out just a little bit to the left. I'm actually going to club up this time and go with the Defender. Pretty cold and wet, so I'm just clubbing up, trying to get the extra distance. I might have a little too much turn on this one, but if it hyzers out, then it should skip on down there for a birdie putt. Brad throws a nice little up shot. Dustin just barely penetrated into the woods there, so he'll have to throw his up shot from a knee, but it looks like he got it up there pretty close. Kevin will probably just lay this one up. May give it a safe bid. And I'm the last one with a chance for birdie. Putting with the classic blend judge there. And left side chains, but the disc catcher catches. Give number 10 a little love. Thank it for his service. And now Dustin with a comebacker for his par. So I'm going to snag the only birdie here on hole number 10, a much needed birdie. Everyone else is going to get in for par, and we move to hole 11, the dogleg right par 4. I love this hole. If you throw 2 mid-ranges, you can get there. You have to throw them accurately though. This time, not so much. I pull my flippy mace just a little bit, and it's just too tight. Basically, from where I landed, I just need to pitch up and go for a 4. Kevin throws a good looking shot there. Now we've got Brad. He's throwing a rock here. He has a very nice angle on this one. And that's about picture perfect on this hole. Dustin's going to go with the sidearm. There is a pretty good sidearm angle here. The only problem is if you don't get it far enough, you have no chance to get up and down for the birdie. But Dustin is throwing a beautiful looking sidearm. Takes a giant lollipop skip. He's going to like that. So what you're about to see here, I highly advise never trying to do if you find yourself short of the gap here. And Will can't find it because we have no idea where it's at until Brad.
Oh, I got it.
Brad identifies it over there to the left, and let me tell you, that thing went closer to hole 13's fairway than it is to hole 11's fairway. Kevin throws a nice little turnover shot around the outside. That'll get him up there for a long look at birdie. I believe I went with a thumber or either a sidearm with a spark there. It only went about 60 feet, 50 feet or so. So Dustin threw a perfect drive. Oh no, it just leaves it a little left going into the green, and that will always kick you left. So I'm stuck down here in the woods, and at this point I'm going to need a miracle to get up and down for a par. Or for a bogey, rather. I go with a hatchet thumber. Get a pretty good shot and an equally good roll. Brad just has to pitch around for his par. And Dustin just has to try and slide one up there to get his par. Kevin's got a tough putt for birdie. Wow, that was a really nice putt from Kevin. Let's back that up and see what gap he went through. Looks like he went just to the left of the X. Cut it in there and go to slow-mo. That is a sick putt from Kevin McCoy. And that is a big reason why he's leading this tournament. I put the judge up in there for my bogey. And Dustin, yikes. He's going to have to get a bogey himself. And Brad will get his par. We'll move on to hole number 12, the chicken coop hole. Kevin throws a pretty good looking drive, plays the skip on the right side of the fairway. Left side is loose dirt, right side is pretty packed, so if you want to get a skip, you need to land on the right. And Brad throws a beautiful shot. That one is pinned. Valet parking. And I do what I say you should never do on this hole, and that's throw it too high. Also, if you watched the round 1 video, we had a bunch of the green things hanging down in the fairway from the ceiling. Big shout out to James McNaughton for cutting all those down in between Saturday and Sunday's rounds for us. Kevin has a long putt there, and he jumps it right in the basket. So Kevin is just a putting machine right now. And look at Brad, he is so parked. I believe that was one of his old star wraiths with the Brad Hammock 5-time World Champ stamp on him. So Kevin is now at 17 under par. And we are on hole 13, and he has turned this one over. Now the thing about hole number 13, if you get that one over into the woods on the right or the left, you are in big trouble. Brad tries to follow him in, but gets a nice little kick out to the fairway. I'm going with an escape here, and it was holding nicely, but it just turned a bit too much, and booyah! Another TD kick right there. Big shout out to the woods on hole 13 for that sweet kick to the basket. And Dustin Perry throws a good looking line, but it's just a little too low, but it's nice and safe in the middle of the fairway. Ooh, Brad almost ringing it up for the 2 from way downtown. Alright, we got a little leader hose in here. K-Max finally found some trouble, and after failing to get out of the woods on his pitch out shot, he's going to need a great shot here just to get on the green and have a putt for bogey. He still has a nice lead, but there's also no telling what the second card is doing. You got Will Shoestrick and Snappy Cole both out there on the second card.
Ooh.
Really nice shot from K-Mac. But he is going to have a death putt if he wants to save that bogey. So here it is. It's a pretty sharp little slope right there at the basket. So if you miss this putt, you're generally going to have a comebacker from outside the circle. Kevin looks like he's going for it, though. This is a huge moment.
Wow.
What another great putt from Kevin McCoy. Let's hit the reverse and the slow-mo. Watch this wobble. Wounded duck right in there. K-Mac is absolutely on fire putting this weekend. That is a great bogey. Not often you hear great bogey, but there it is. So Brad's just got a little uphill chip shot for his par. Knocks it in there from about 25 feet. And this is for my birdie after that very generous kick from the woods. Sports Center Cenis goes in there for the 2. And we'll move on to hole 14. Short little downhiller, but it is on a slope, so there's lots of roll involved. I go with the Cenis. It looks like a pretty good shot. Hammock thinks his has come out short. It does go to the wrong side of the tree in the fairway, but he might have scooted on down for a putt. Dustin Perry taking that overstable putter. And looks like a very nice shot from Dustin. Probably end up just below the hole if he doesn't catch a long roll away. Kevin's got that rock out. He's going to do some kind of little, it's almost like a jump putt type maneuver. Like he just kind of putts the disc. But man, that is a nice little shot. He's going to come up short though. Wow. Yep. But once again, it is not a problem. That is 3 holes in a row. K-Mac has just put in a dirty putt. Brad also puts in a pretty nice putt there. And so does Dustin. So all I've got is the closest putt, about 20 feet for the star frame. And we do get a star frame on hole number 14. So we move on to hole 15A, one of the temp holes. And I'm going with the Moonshine Spark for the thumber. And that should be up there nicely for an easy bird. Brad goes with that rock on a little Anheuser. Doesn't quite get all of it, and it hit something, so it didn't get any slide. He's going to have a putt from just inside the circle's edge. Dustin goes to the sidearm. And that's a pretty good shot. Should give him a nice chance for birdie as well. K-Mac throws a good line, but it just kind of falls out of the sky and then hits one of those, I think those are walnuts, and takes a big kick left. A rare miss from K-Mac. Must be the not putting on the end of a baskets or something. And a nice putt from Dustin. I'm really not sure why Brad putted from his knees there. Maybe because he stroked such a nice putt on the last hole from his knees, but I don't know, that was a weird little moment. So we're going to move on to the big par 5, the temporary hole. And we got a little sneak peek of the second card throwing their drives here, or at least 3 of the 4. We got Will Schustrick. Will throws a beautiful shot here. That is in perfect position. Exactly where you want to be for your second shot on this hole. Snappy's going with a T-bird. Plays it really close to the wood line with a nice little hyzer. That is also a perfect shot. Brian Gort, the co-TD, throws a nice straight shot himself. Might come up a little short. Didn't get any skip. So it was a little bit of pressure after watching those guys throw. Made you think that maybe Snappy and Will were making a push for a comeback second card victory. So I throw the Warship and I come up a little bit short. I don't think that's going to put me in position to try and throw through the gap onto the other side of the creek for my second shot. Dustin, however, throws a beautiful shot. And just that little bit of extra distance on this hole is very crucial. Brad throws a driver and gets a big skip out there. That's a beautiful shot from Brad. He's in good position. So Kevin throws one, and it's on a nice line, but just like the last hole, it's a little bit too low. So he's found himself short of the gap, and he's going to have to try and throw a hyzer through the woods over the creek if he wants to get in position for a birdie. As the leader, I might have just pitched over in front of the tee pad here and just played for a par. But since I'm not the leader, I smashed one right through the trees myself, just like Kevin, and actually get way through there. I went with the defender there. Brad throws a really good looking shot and gets a sweet base hit right there off that tree. He's going to be in really good position to maybe get a birdie. This is a tough hole to get a birdie on. So Dustin's looking at some kind of roller angle, I think. Oh yeah, here it comes. Oh, he threw a little bit too flippy of a disc. Or if he had just landed on a little less angle, he would have definitely rolled a long way. Every time I've gotten a 2 on this hole, from the par 4 position, it's been with a long roller. And Dustin was right around the tee pad for that one, so it was definitely doable. Holy crappy kick. So I threw the defender there, and that is literally the only branch over there. And I got a nice little base hit almost into the road OB. So I think the defender flew further after the branch than it did before. So Dustin's roller tracked him on the right. He just had to pitch out there. And Brad is tossing one up here. Looks like that rock again. He's a little bit right, a little bit short, but he should be up there for a birdie putt. Dustin's not happy with that one. Definitely came out a little bit early, and he's probably going to have a weird looking angle for a putt.
Wow.
So I get my 4th shot back up near the basket. I was actually trying to throw it in. I went with the Cenis there. Good thing I didn't hit the basket, or else I'd have rolled down the hill. So Dustin was in such a tough spot, he ended up not even having a putt. Had to throw it sidearm. And Brad's going to get the only birdie here in the group. That is an excellent birdie here on hole number 15. 15B for the tournament. And now we will climb the hill to hole 16. So Brad with the only birdie, me and Kevin took pars, and Dustin got a bogey. And things are getting a little closer here between me, Brad, and Dustin. They went with the old switcheroo on that hole. Dustin was ahead of Brad by 1 going into the hole. Now Brad's ahead of Dustin by 1. I go with the warship there. Comes up just a little bit left. Should be a manageable putt if it's not in too sticky of a situation. K-Mac takes a driver. Throws a nice soft easy shot up the fairway. Looks very similar to mine. His is a little bit closer though. He stayed out of the edge of the wood line. Even though this hole is short, I like to throw a driver or a fast mid-range on it. I actually did birdie this in super class from the long tee, so maybe I don't need to be throwing such a fast disc, but it's just basically whatever you're comfortable with. Brad Hammock's got about a 35-foot uphill putt, and he makes a beautiful stroke. Let's watch this one again. Very nice view from the cameraman Will Peterson, with the chains framed up under those leaves. So Brad's got that weird little style, pops it out there, got a little wobble, but just cashes in dead center. And Brad's on a hot little run. Those were birdies on 3 of the last 4 holes for Brad. So I've got a look over here from just inside the edge of the woods, and forced me into a straddle putt. Lost some concentration and putted it into the cage. Definitely not what you want to do from 25 feet. Dustin, however, makes a nice stroke on his. And K-Mac will try to get the 3rd birdie of the group. And that Nova staying trusty. K-Mac makes his bird. I'll settle for par. And we will move on to hole number 17, the 550-foot par 4. Hammock has the tee. He throws a pretty nice little shot down there. He's just a little on the left side of the fairway. It's going to be a weird upshot since he doesn't throw sidearms or thumbers. K-Mac throws a good line, but it just doesn't turn over. Luckily, he doesn't kick left. He just kind of kicks backwards. Here's Dustin Perry lining up for a sidearm. And Dustin has thrown a gorgeous looking shot here. That's going to get him way up there. It's funny, a lot of these holes, especially a few of the par 4s, all of the locals, or the Georgia guys, Atlanta guys, whatever you want to call us, are throwing backhands, and Dustin's throwing the forehands. And I noticed the same thing with Will Schustrick. He throws some forehands in places that most of the locals throw backhands. So I think it's just one thing if you've played the course a bunch and you see what everyone throws, and then it's another thing if you just play the course by yourself or with a couple friends when you're trying to practice it for a tournament, and you kind of create your own lines. So those might be holes that it would be good for the locals to throw some forehands too. Brad's in a really tough little spot there. I don't think I would have been comfortable throwing a backhand with the tree right there in front of me. Would have been a really good spot to have a thumber or sidearm. Speaking of sidearm, Dustin's sidearm got him way up here, and now he's going to throw another sidearm. But he's going to be just a little left and not make it in the gap. I was going with a hatchet thumber there and pulled it into the tree on the left, just like the first round when I did it with my Moonshine Spark. Brad tosses up into the gap, and I go with the Cenas sidearm to try and make my birdie. K-Mac actually ends up with a decent bid at a birdie, even though he wasn't able to make the fairway off the tee. And Dustin's the last one putting for the bird, and he will putt it a little too low. So we're all going to have to just settle for par, as long as K-Mac can make this one in there. And we will move on to hole number 18 with a bunch of pars. This one's playing about 585 feet to the practice basket. Brad Hammock will have our tee.
Oh. Yep.
He throws a driver and throws a very nice line that'll put him in the fairway. Kevin's going Okie Heiser, but trying to make it stand up. And he throws a pretty good shot too. He's not quite center fairway. It's going to be a little tougher on that left side unless you throw a sidearm or thumber. Dustin straightens something out, and he takes a nice little skip there. He's in a great spot, especially since he likes to throw forehand. That'll be a perfect spot for a forehand upshot. I'm going to go with the Ballista, that gold line one from the last hole, and it is a little bit flippy. So I just turned it over into the woods there. It was trying to come out at the end. And now we've got Brad Hammock getting his momentum moving uphill. He's throwing that rock. And it's a pretty good shot. Probably give him a long look at birdie. This is not an easy spot to be in for these basically backhand players, Kevin and Brad on the left side here. It's really tough to get a backhand down there to the pin because it's so far to the right and these trees impede your ability to throw an Anheuser on the left side. So they both were smart and threw more straight shots. Dustin stuck with only a sidearm up shot, does a cute little pirouette, and should give himself a putt for birdie. So I'm kind of stuck in the woods here. I'm basically just going to try to get out and advance as far as possible. No chance of getting up and down for birdie from here. I catch a little bit of tree, but I think I get out of there with a defender or a felon. Those are my two white discs. And so I chipped that one up with the classic blend Judge. And now Brad Hammock putting for birdie. Spoiler alert, as you can see at the bottom there, he finishes tied for 4th in this event with that beautiful putt to finish out with a birdie. And Dustin's dropped back to 6th place in the event, and I'm going to finish tied for 4th with Brad after I get my par there. So K-Mac is here on the last putt for birdie from about 35 feet, and for the win, can he make it? Yes, he can. K-Mac's been putting great all weekend. No reason to stop now. And just an absolute beautiful tournament from Kevin McCoy. He played great the whole time and scored great both rounds. Brad Hammock gives him a little tip of the cap on the way by. And much respect. 2016 Georgia Flying Disc Festival champion Kevin McCoy. Here's the PDGA results. I'd like to give a huge thanks to Latitude 64 for sponsoring this event. Also all the hole sponsors and our other main sponsors, who were Bill Thornton, John and Sue Seward, and I'd like to thank Will Peterson for filming, Tyler for bringing the Latitude RV to our tournament to Vend, and all the other people that helped make this tournament a great success. Thank you guys so much for watching, and check back for more videos from Matt Dollar Disc Golf.